check out our Instagram pages. One is for cars, one is for my work, Do Better Fitness, and then please like and subscribe. Thank you.
Okay, I've just started the car. It says 135 miles. I'm going to turn on my climate control because the car is actually pretty cold inside. So watch what happens when I turn it on. As soon as I turn it on, it goes to 108.
As you can see, it's not that cold outside either. I didn't set it that high. It's 72 Fahrenheit, which is kind of not that high, honestly. So for this trip, I'm going to take my wife to the main office where she works. I'm going to drive very sensibly. I'm going to show you. Basically, I'm in comfort mode. Everything is in the lowest consumption I can keep it for the car. My air conditioning is off, and the vents are on, and it's on speed 1, and the climate control is set to 73, like I showed you. And I'm driving very slow. But look at my consumption. It's zero. At the beginning, it was nothing because it's so low. But now it's 0.7 miles to a kilowatt hour, which is so low, and I'm driving so gently. This does get better gradually as the car heats up, but it just takes a while. I do love this car. It's nice. It's comfy. I'm just showing you from a point of view, basically, of what it is like to have an EV, so you kind of know what to expect if you're looking this route. I would honestly still buy another one. I've been looking at some Teslas. BMW's coming out with some interesting things. I kind of want the Audi e-tron GT, the fast one. So there's options, but I still love my petrol cars. Honestly, I'm a car guy, so I like everything. I did choose to go on the freeway, motorway, whatever you guys want to call it, but it's because there's a lot of traffic, and EVs do really good in start-stop. So the speed limit on this is 50, and when I get onto the main freeway, it's going to be 70. But on this, as you can see, I'm doing like 8 to 16 miles per hour, even though it's 50. And when I get on the freeway, the speed limit's 70, unless I have accidents and stuff, and then they reduce it to whatever they say because it's a smart freeway. So it'll probably be like 40 or less. And realistically, we'll be lucky if we get over 30. So in those circumstances, this should be very good for the car because they don't do very good on 70 plus miles per hour. For you guys that know a little bit about EVs, my brake regen is on full. So this one, it gives you, I think, 3 or 2 choices, and it's on max. So it should be getting back energy when I'm doing the start stops. And you can see my consumption's changed a little bit. It's 1.3, and it's going to switch to 1.4 miles to a kilowatt hour. So it's getting better, but it's still very low. So this is the freeway. Speeds are normally 70, but here it's 40. I'm going to just get behind this truck or lorry, as you guys would say in the UK, and I'm going to try and use him to basically buffet air. And so if I just stay close, I can turn off the regen and put it in a glide mode. So this way the car just coasts along using even less energy. And when I have to start slowing down, I just turn my regen higher. And I do that quite regularly just to get the consumption low. Kind of it's like a game, but like it keeps me entertained. But if I was in any of my other cars, I would have just gone into the far right lane and just put my foot down for the speed limit. But in this, I drive it a lot slower. And as you can see, we're going to exit the motorway, and then I my regen back in full, and hopefully it'll get a little higher on my miles for each kilowatt hour. I am going to charge it back to whatever I used. That way it's a pretty fair comparison. I think the total miles we're traveling is 6.5, so let's just call it 7, so we're rounding up in the car's favor. And then we'll see how much kilowatts I put back in the battery. So I used the glide feature to get past this truck because it's downhill, and then I turned my regen on full and got the car to practically stop by itself, getting the most regen, and just at the very end I used the actual physical brakes. And now when I take off, I'll have regen on full again. So here regen is just going to be on full because it's so much start-stop, trying to get the most back in the battery recuperation as I can. And we are basically almost at our destination, and once I get there, the chargers are right there, so my total mileage is still less than 7, but we're going to call it 7, and we will charge the battery back up to where I started so you can see how much it actually used. Now we are at 30 miles per hour, and since there's nothing in front of him, I've turned the regen off again. So now the car is gliding for as long as it can. Then I just give it a little bit of power just to keep it at speed. This way also it is using the least amount of energy for this test. So by now it's been 25 minutes. This is the best range it's going to get. It's at 2.2. And that was hard for me to do, honestly. I had to really baby it and get the regen when I needed it, get it to glide when I wanted to. And it's still only at 2.2. And you can see the regen's working right here. I'm slowing down. And at almost all times, I'm very gently accelerating. And also, I'm always below the speed limit just because of the traffic. There was no 70. The most, I think the fastest I got to was 40. So you can honestly see that I'm driving it very gently and I'm using the least amount of stuff. There's no heated seats on. There's no defrost on the windshield or the back window. Okay, let's talk about numbers. So it's less than 7 miles. When I started, it was 134. Then I used a little bit of climate control and it lowered it. When I took off this morning, it was at 131 miles of range. I'm left with, once I plugged it in, less than 7 miles used, but on the consumption itself it is at 115. So that is 16 miles of range gone. And when I started this morning, it was at 71% battery when I left the house, not before when I did a little bit of climate control. And when I finished the trip, I was left with 64% battery. That's for 7 miles of actual use, and I ended up using 8 kilowatt hours. And I know this because I charged the car back to the starting percentage. I can make another video on how I'd actually use the car, because honestly, I didn't spend this much money on a car, a luxury SUV, to not use the preheat the cabin and to use the heated seats. And I'm gonna drive it like a normal car, how I would my C63 or the Panamera or anything. And then I will show you the consumption difference when I do use all the stuff. Thank you guys for watching, and good luck with your EV journey. Hopefully this has been helpful if you weren't sure. And honestly, they're getting better and better. I still think it's a good car, and I'm happy that I got one and it's helping the environment. And I'm happy that I still love all my other cars, honestly. Thank you for watching. See you guys next week, and please like and subscribe if this has helped you in any way.